Hey everyone, welcome back from National Conference. We're excited to do some follow-up with you today around the concept of the Google Calendar. We had gotten a lot of questions about it, and we thought it might be helpful to just do some follow-up and show you live how to use your Google Calendar. So we're going to talk about how do we use it with cooking parties, how we do it with virtual parties, and then we're going to show you some examples of how to use it with some monthly tasks and some daily tasks. Okay, so we're going to first talk a little bit about how do we use it with cooking shows. So one of the things that I do when I book a show and I come home that night, I go ahead and I put that show in my Google Calendar.
All right, so Steph, when did you book your party?
Well, I actually booked one last night, so let's put that on the 21st
Of August?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so what I would do is I would put the host name and her phone number, and then I would also put what type of theme show it is. So if it's a Mexican and margaritas or wine, cheese, or chocolate, so I know what kind of theme party it is when I'm talking to her. And I put the time, the start time and the end time. And I color code all of my shows to green because green means money. I'm making money when I'm doing shows. So I color code my cooking parties and my virtual parties in green on my calendar so I can look at my calendar at a glance and see where my shows are. Okay. So I'll put the show on there. I also put their address on there as well. And as I'm talking to them and coaching them, one of the things I'll put on there at the end is how many people are coming. Because if I'm talking to several hosts at once, it's sometimes hard to remember how many people are attending with each show. And I want to make sure I have enough catalogs and everything. So I put that in there, as well as if I know they're interested in the business opportunity, I'll put OPP on there. So I'll remember to really talk about that a lot as well. So those are all the things I do when I set it up, when I actually book the show. And then I also put my host coaching calls on the calendar for that show. And when I book the show, I go ahead and do that. And so those would go at the top on the task list. So if the show's on the 21st, I think I said, is that right?
Yep.
So I would back up 2 days from that. And on the 19th, I would put down call Stacy. And I know that that's the third call because it's 2 days before her show. And then I back up a week from her party and I put in, and I usually will copy their phone number from the show that I created and paste that in. So I've got it right there. I don't have to go look for it. So I've got her phone number. When I pull up that day, I know I'm supposed to coach her that day. I know her show is in 2 days, and so you could even put call number 3 or whatever you want in there if you wanted to remind yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's 2 days before, and then I usually call them a week before. So I would back up a week before the show and do the same thing, put in call Stacy, and then
you would be doing that on the 14th then if your show was on the 21st?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Exactly. And so that would be a task at the top, like she's adding there. So when I get to the 14th, all I have to do is look at my day and see what tasks are there. I don't have to remember who am I supposed to host coach today. Right. So when I book the show, I go ahead and put them in. And then I usually call them a couple of days before I want their invitations to go out, which I do. My invitations I do digitally, and I do them through either something like Canva or Pick Collage. So I use Pick Collage. And so I create the invitation on Pick Collage, and then I text it to them or email it to them. And so I want those to go out 2 weeks before the party. Mm-hmm. So I will text them or call them 2 weeks and like 2 or 3 days before that. So if the show's on the 21st, then I'm going to back up and I'm going to call her probably, I should have called her around Friday last week to
Okay.
make sure that her invitations have gone out. And I would put that on the calendar. And then I actually do a fourth call, which is actually the first call, which is where I go through the host packet and the benefits of being a host. And so that would go on there as well. So that's how I plan out my cooking show contacts. And then once the show is closed, I put the 222 calls on the calendar as well. I'll go in and put the 2 days, 2 weeks, and 2 months calls. And all I do is add that at the top as a task. So I would say Stacy Itzel's 2-week calls, or Stacy Itzel's 2-day calls, or Stacy Itzel's 2-month calls. Then I know what call I'm supposed to do. And I don't have to remember or look back at any calendar. It's already in there. So when I close the show, it's in there. When I get to that day, it's ready to go. I know what I'm supposed to do.
So basically, when you book a party, you put it on the day and time that the party is, and then you go in and put all of your touch points for that party as soon as it's booked. And so you don't miss any of your host coaching steps.
Right.
Got it. I love that. And so let me ask you a question. What if you were trying to reach out to me on the 7th and you weren't able to get a hold of me to do that call? What would you do?
Move it to the next day, to the 8th.
Yes. And that's an important part of this system. Like, I know you and I both probably put some notes on there. Hey, I left Stacy a message, or I sent her a text. I haven't heard back. So you put it to the next day so that tomorrow you're trying to get in touch with your host again.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So for virtual parties, I'm sure most of you are running your virtual parties in groups, and we tend to do the same things every single week that we're running a party. Like maybe you set your parties up on the same day every week. So for me, I always set my parties up on Wednesdays. So I have a task on every Wednesday that says set up virtual parties. And it just stays on my calendar. After I get all of my virtual parties set up for that week, then I just move it to the next week. And that little reminder will come up for me. And then sometimes in virtual parties, you might have a day where there is a game posted and you have to put the answer to the game, like how many noodles are in the rock crock. So for me, that post goes up on Monday, and they have all day Monday to answer that. So I have a reminder for every Tuesday, post rock crock. Did I spell that right? No. Is that right? Why can't I spell this today?
Yep.
Post rock crock noodle game answer. And that just stays on my calendar for every Tuesday. I just keep moving it. So I never forget to do the answer to that party game. And then one of the things that I keep on my calendar every day is my virtual party host coaching. Because every day we want to be touching base with our hosts, right? So if I was doing my host coaching for the 8th, after I complete it, I'm going to go ahead and move it to the 9th. And just like Stephanie has a task for each of her hosts, or she keeps notes, I do the same thing for each of my party hosts. So even though I have virtual party host coaching on every day, I also have every virtual host's name on every day with notes about her, like what's on his or her wish list. How many people has she or he invited to the party? Are the guests very engaged? Do I need to do some extra little host coaching with him or her to help them have a successful party? So that's kind of how the daily tasks work for host coaching. What are some other things that you do on a daily basis, Steph? Like what's on your calendar for today that you need to do? Today's the 7th.
Not around host coaching, but just in general, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I put on my calendar every day is make 5 contacts. So that's on every day, Monday through Friday. That's a recurring task. And so some of my tasks that I do every day, or even ones I do once a week, I'll make recurring tasks so that I don't have to move them. I can just see them every week pop up in the same place.
So
every day.
You do it right there, right?
Yes.
Click daily, and then watch what happens. Whoops, there it is. Make 5 contacts every day.
Yes. So that way, when I finish it that day, I can just, what I do is I delete it.
Yes.
It's recurring, so I know it's going to be on the next day. So I just go there and then delete it. And that means I'm done. That takes it off my list, off my to-do list for the day, which makes you feel great when you do that.
I know we both like to go to bed with a completely empty day.
Yes.
So we either are moving it to the next day or completely deleting it off. So one of the things that I need the daily reminder to do is to post in my VIP group or customer group or think about it group. So I just keep a reminder on my calendar. Community. I cannot spell today. To post in my online community every day. And just like Stephanie does with her contacts, once I make that post in my group, I just delete it off of there. All right, so what about weekly? What are some things that you do weekly and you put a reminder for on your calendar?
Well, host coaching for my virtual shows and setting those events up. I actually use events instead of groups. And so every Monday, I'll set up my parties for that week and then host coach those hosts with their initial host coaching video and things like that I do. But then I do touch base with them every single day while their show is going on, obviously, just like you. Weekly, let me think. Other things I do weekly, I make sure that I'm posting. One of the things I do for our director team on our leader page is I post how much each director's activity bonus is for the month, that month so far. So like today, I do it every Tuesday. So every Tuesday I go in and I'll look on each director team's stats on their sales report and I'll see how many active team members do they have. And so I'll list each director, and if they have 10 people active, then I put $100. And if they have 5 people active, I put $50. I put their name, I tag them and put that amount. And then I use a picture of money. I think it's $100 bill. And then usually try to post some kind of tip or suggestion of things that they can do this week to reach out to their team to help generate activity.
I love that. And one of the things that I like to do, which is kind of along the same lines of recognition, is that in my head, I call it Wahoo Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I like to go on my team pages and celebrate anybody who has submitted their first party, anyone who's earned Pampered Chef dollars, anybody who has welcomed someone to the team. Just every Wednesday, I like to do big Wahoos. So that is something that is on my calendar to do every Wednesday. Oops.
Yep.
Okay, my spelling is just a mess today. It's because I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. All right, so we put all of these things up here. Oh, we're going to talk about monthly too in a second, because they really don't have to be done at a specific time. They just need to be done on that day, right?
Right.
So what is like a monthly task that you like to do? We'll just give them a couple ideas there.
Well, today actually, I usually do this earlier in the month, but because we were gone to conference, usually around the 1st or the 2nd, I will go on our overall team page and I post everybody's birthdays for the month and everybody's anniversaries for the month. So I'll recognize team members for that. I also sent text messages to all of my inactives. It doesn't matter if they're in their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th month. I send it to all of them to reach out to them, give them ideas on how to be active, and remind them of the benefits of being active.
Yes. Now I do a similar thing with birthday and anniversaries. I just send little postcards to them. But the beginning of every month, I run the report and send them out. And then, so when we're done with that, this kind of monthly thing, we do the same thing, right? We just move it to the next month. And you said you would probably do that earlier in the month. So maybe.
Yeah, but we were gone, so I had to.
Yep.
I got back.
Me too. My postcards just went out yesterday. Birthdays and anniversaries. And then for me, another thing that I always like to do is congratulate anybody who was green by the 15th. So on the 16th of every month, I just have green by 15. And I go and run my report and see who was active with at least $150 in sales. I send them a little postcard and I do a Wahoo on our team page. After that task is completed on the 16th of August, I will move it to the 17th. I'm sorry, to the 16th of September, which is a Sunday. So I probably would have to do it that evening. But anyway, that's just the idea, is your list is constantly building. So you can see on this little video that we're making for you, our calendar is slowly but surely coming together. So if you are starting from scratch, every time you do something, I would say just go put that on your calendar for the next time you want to do it. And gradually, it'll come together for you. Don't you think, Steph?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So let's say there are sometimes, I don't know if you do, well, you color code your shows. You said that you put them all in green.
Yes.
Sometimes there are, like, if I'm seeing that my list for tomorrow is getting really, really full of things that I need to do, and I think, okay, I want to make sure that I get to this, I will change that color so that it stands out. And that's the first thing I will work on the next day. And then one of the principles that we taught you was the procrastinate principle. And so when I get into my office in the morning, the first thing I do is look at my little to-do list and I say to myself, okay, does everything on this list absolutely have to be done today? Or is it something that could actually wait till tomorrow? Because sometimes you're just putting things on your calendar to get them out of your brain so you don't worry about them. Like, if I need to make a dentist appointment, I might remember to put that, I might put that on my calendar to call on Friday to make that dentist appointment.
That's called a brain dump when you do that. And it's really helpful to do that at night before you settle in for the night, because that way you get all of the things that are floating around in your head on your calendar, and it helps you sleep better because you're not trying to remember things that you keep running through your head. So if you do that brain dump at night right before you go to bed and get it all down on a piece of paper or all down and into your calendar, it gets it out of your head where you can, you know, not have to try to keep remembering it. Because once you get it on your calendar, you don't have to remember it anymore. That's the freedom of it.
Yes, and you don't have to worry about tons of little sticky notes all over the place and getting lost or stuck to something else, and then you forget to do something because it's right there on your calendar. Now, we also showed you, like, there are some things that you need to do at a specific time. So, for example, Stephanie and I talk just about every Thursday. So on our calendar, we have, what is it, 10:45? 10:45, right?
Yes.
We have a call every Thursday at 10:45. I'm just going to put it at 10, but they get the idea. So what's great about this, let me go into that again, is you can, oh, it might not be showing on here because this is, oh, here we go. A lot of times it'll automatically add your notifications for you, but I can set it up that I get an email 10 minutes before that call, or I can get a little pop-up on my computer 10 minutes before that call. They used to do text messages, but we don't get that anymore. Did I miss anything else with that?
Nope.
No.
And if it's a recurring one, you just make it recurring so it shows up every week.
Yeah, that's a really nice feature. Because actually you set that up and it connects to my calendar for me,
Yes.
which is really nice. And you do that right here. And then how do you share that with other people? Is that over here? Add guests?
Yes, you add the email addresses in right there of people that are invited to that call or meeting or whatever, and then it will send an email to them. and it will pop up on their calendar.
Yeah, so no more excuses for your consultants missing their coaching calls, because it'll be on their calendar if they use Google Calendar.
Awesome.
Okay, I think we were gonna, what do you think? Should we show them a glimpse of my calendar? They won't
Sure.
get freaked out. All right, so this is just an example of what my days kind of look like. So all of my to-do things that I want to do are up here. These are some of my, oh, there's our little call.
Yep.
These are some of the scheduled things. And so I have these highlighted because I'm going to be, I've been confirming these virtual parties right here. And also, you guys heard me say that I have an assistant. So anything that's in dark purple is for my assistant to do. So when my assistant pulls up the calendar, he or she knows exactly what they're working on that day. All right. I hope that they found this helpful.
Yes, and if you have any questions, just comment after the video below and let us know, and we'll do our best to answer them and help you. But we hope that this visual kind of put everything together for you.
Yeah, I want to tell you, I didn't get to share this in the at the training event, but Stephanie actually taught this to me about 4 years ago, back when we were in that old dinosaur Pampered Partner Plus. There's a great task management system in there that I was using, and I was one of the leaders dragging their feet, moving over to the new web, as we used to call it, because I wasn't just sure how I was going to keep everything organized. So I am forever indebted to you, my friend, for teaching me how
I remember that we were at Exec-Sim in Arizona, and we were sitting in the little room there together, and you were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It was great. Like your eyes were open, and you tried it, and then look, now you would never go back, right?
Oh my gosh, no. And the fact that it's on my phone too, and
yes,
sitting at a practice or in the doctor's office, I've always got my to-do list right there with me so I can work on things.
Yes. All right, well, this was helpful to you guys.
See ya.
See you later. Bye.
We done